Diddy better be thanking his lucky stars that Jay Z was named in this lawsuit and the fact that Jay Z does not want to be involved in this lawsuit because without Jay Z, he would not be on the verge of having this case dismissed without even having to do anything. If you guys don't know, Diddy has been named in over 30 lawsuits, civil lawsuits, accusing him of committing sexual assaults against people. And he really hasn't responded in any of the lawsuits, which he definitely has the right not to do because he is currently in jail for criminal actions, meaning that he has the right to plead the fifth. So a lot of these civil cases are not going to go forward. But Tony Busby made a serious mistake in naming Jay Z in the lawsuit because guess who's not on a criminal trial? Jay Z. And guess who doesn't want to be named in this civil lawsuit accusing him of R-wording a 13-year-old girl? That's Jay Z, and he is in this thing filing a bunch of motions. And like I said, we are on the verge of getting this case dismissed. Not to say that Jay Z and Diddy are not guilty of potentially doing this to this young girl, but to say that the attorney is not doing his job properly. And with the attorney not doing his job properly, this case is probably going to get dismissed. If you guys know what's going on and you're watching on the live stream, make sure to drop in the chat your thoughts and where you think this is going. If you're watching on the replay, feel free to drop in the comment section your thoughts and where you feel like this case is going. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Jay Z and Diddy have been accused of R-wording a 13-year-old girl back in 2000. This lady was 13 years old at the time and now is claiming that she's 38. And accusing these celebrities after the VMA of assaulting her and filing a civil lawsuit so that she can potentially get money. Now, I have to correct something that I've said in the past, and that the standard is clear and convincing evidence. The actual standard in New York for this Adult Survivors Act, which she was an adult at the time, so I'm not quite sure how she's suing under that, but it is by the preponderance of the evidence. So we are more looking at a 51% chance that this incident happened rather than it not happen. And what we're finding out with this most recent filing by Jay Z and the interview that Tony Busby, in my opinion, so not smart. I can't even think of the words right now, but the dumb move, I would just say that dumb move by attorney Busby to have his client interviewed regarding the facts of the case, dumb move, I have to say, could potentially lead to this case actually being dismissed because they're admitting to the shortcomings in the lawsuit. So 24 years ago, this 13-year-old girl went to the VMAs, got invited to a Diddy party, allegedly, and was R-worded first by Jay Z and then by Diddy, and then does an interview with NBC while the case is still pending to admit to the shortcomings and the inaccuracies in her lawsuit. Jay Z is going to jump on this and ask for it to be dismissed and also ask for attorney Busby to be sanctioned. So definitely let me know what y'all think. You know that we are here live. If you're on the replay, let us know in the comments. If you're here on the replay or live and you haven't hit the like button, please do. It does help us out in the algorithm, and we are trying to grow the channel. And subscribe if you are new here and you like covering cases, celebrity cases, lawsuits, and all the things. Let's go ahead and jump right into the letter that Jay Z submitted to the court because of the shortcomings of Busby. We have been covering this, y'all. We've been covering this, and Jay Z has been attacking Busby, but now we are into some stuff that can lead to Busby being sanctioned and potentially losing his license or potentially having to pay Jay Z's attorney's fees. So let's jump into it. Okay, so we've been covering Jay Z all week, right? Jay Z is calling Busby a liar, liar, pants on fire. And to resolve the issue of Jay Z calling Busby a liar, liar, pants on fire, Busby decides to have his client interviewed. And what happens in the interview? Jay Z says the client herself admits that Busby is a liar, liar, pants on fire, and that the facts in her own case are not very accurate. Not a good move. Not a good move. So let's look into what Jay Z is accusing Busby of doing that could potentially result in this case, one, being dismissed, two, Busby actually having to withdraw the case without it actually being dismissed by the court. And 3, Busby being subject to sanctions, i.e. he's going to have to pay attorney's fees, i.e. he could lose his license, i.e. allegedly, according to Jay Z, he's not even licensed to practice in the court that he filed the documents in. And we'll get into that once we get to that part in the letter. So let's see what Jay Z's attorney had to say about Busby, this interview, and where this case is moving forward. And mind you, like we said at the beginning of the stream, Diddy has not had to say anything, but Jay Z is potentially about to get this case completely dismissed without Diddy ever having to open his mouth, which is insane. It's insane. Let's jump into it. We got a letter for the Honorable Judge Torres. We write to the court on behalf of our client, Sean Carter, on a matter of extraordinary and grave importance for the integrity of the proceedings in the above captioned case. If you guys have been covering this case with me for the last week, mind you, Jay Z was just named last Sunday in this lawsuit. This is his 3rd letter that he's filing with the court about the inaccuracies in the lies that Jay Z is claiming is in these documents. 3rd letter to the court within this 1 week, and he has already filed a motion, and he's letting the court know that he's going to file another motion. So he is in complete communication with the court. And mind you, we talked about this on our last live stream, which was on, Thursday? Jay Z hasn't even been served. He is subjecting himself to the jurisdiction of the court by filing these documents, but he was not even served. He wasn't even a party to the lawsuit once he started filing all of these documents. So let's go on. Today at 7:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, NBC News reported on an interview that its reporters conducted with anonymous plaintiff in the case. The interview outs plaintiff's allegations for what they are: a sham. Basic facts in her narrative: the who, what, when, and where are wrong. She claims her father picked her up after the assault. Her father denies that ever happened. She claims she spoke with Benji Madden at the party that night, but he was on tour in the Midwest at the time, forcing her to admit, I have made some mistakes. Why are you admitting this before the case gets even in front of the judge? Okay. So I may have made a mistake in identifying. Oh, so you want us to believe you made a mistake in identifying who you talked to at the party, but you don't want us to believe that you made a mistake in identified who may have done this to you at the party. Like I said on the last stream, it could have been JG, could have been a Jay Z lookalike, it could have been a Diddy lookalike. It might not have been these people, but let's see. Jay Z has a little bit more to say about the claims that she's made. She's made a mistake in identifying. She claims the assault took place at an after party at Mr. Combs' home, but photos that night show Mr. Combs and Mr. Carter at Lotus nightclub for the after party. Now, that's not to say that they didn't go back to Diddy's house after the after party, but it's going to be up to the witness or the plaintiff to identify the timeline of when she got to the party, how late was it, was that after party at Lotus already done? And I just don't think she's going to be able to get there once we get into more of the facts of why her story is going down the drain at this point. And I do think that Jay Z is going to be successful in getting this case dismissed due to the inaccuracies and the length of the time that it has been since the actual incident, the alleged incident, has occurred. So let's go on further. When pressed, the plaintiff admitted she was guessing about key details. You can't guess in a lawsuit. You just can't do that, including the time it took to reach the venue. She admits she has no single corroborating witness over the last 24 years, which is going to be horrible, okay, for her case going forward. How do you not have witnesses? You want us to just believe that they did these things to you without any other corroborating witnesses? It's not likely to be successful in a lawsuit. These stunning revelations make clear that the complaint filed by plaintiff's attorney, Attorney Busby, therefore had no factual basis whatsoever. Even Mr. Busby is walking back the complaint he put his name to, excusing these glaring inconsistencies by pointing the finger at the case being referred by another firm who allegedly vetted the story before sending to them. The heinous allegations against Mr. Carter are patently false. Now, while this case potentially could have been referred to Busby by a different law firm. Mind you, Busby is the one with the 800 numbers and say, call me if Diddy did something to you, right? We also have to think back on the letter that we just covered on Thursday of Jay Z basically asserting that Busby adds some facts, allegedly, to the cases that he's bringing forward to the court. So someone may come and say, okay, I was at a Diddy party, and Busby may say, oh, and you were assaulted at that party, weren't you? Basically strongly suggesting the facts of the case moving forward. So Jay Z has already alleged that. Now we're doubling back the next 2 days after that initial file, or that initial letter, saying that Busby has made these lies and kind of fabricated these stories. They had a base, and Busby added to it to make it sufficient lawsuit and to make the media go crazy, right? But not only is he alleging that, but now he's coming back and saying that his client didn't even have accurate facts in the lawsuit that they're filing, basically calling it completely false. It's a sham, is what Jay Z is asserting. And his client is doing an interview before the case actually gets to trial, saying that the facts are not accurate. Not a good move, Busby. Let's look into it a little bit further. The complaint filed by plaintiff's attorney, Anthony Busby, therefore had no factual basis whatsoever. The heinous allegations against Mr. Carter are patently false. In the light of those developments, it is now clear that Mr. Busby signed the complaints and other filings in the case in violation of Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 11. And what does that mean? He is subject to sanctions, okay? He can get in trouble. He is getting in trouble. And we're not saying that this didn't happen to the plaintiff, right? We're saying they can't prove it in court because she doesn't have enough evidence. She doesn't have any witnesses. And Tony Busby did not vet these claims. And just because someone referred the case to you doesn't mean that you don't have to do your own individual investigation, because you're the one signing your name on the document. And I know I seem excited, right? And I'm not saying I'm excited because Jay Z is winning. I don't think he's winning. I do have an opinion of whether it happened or not. My thing is, I would not be surprised if it happened or not, right? But what I am excited about, just to be clear on the channel, is the lawyering that's lawyering. The lawyering that Jay Z's attorney is doing. Because Busby has to be able to prove the case, right? They have to have the evidence to prove the case. And Jay Z's attorney is firing. Rapid. Y'all should have never named Jay Z in this lawsuit. They would have had a better chance if they never named Jay Z in this lawsuit, y'all. They would have had a better chance. Okay. Under that rule, an attorney who signs a document assumes an affirmative duty to conduct a reasonable inquiry into the facts and the law before filing. You cannot file a frivolous lawsuit as an attorney, okay? The attorney's signature denotes merit in the filing and sends a message to the district court that this document is to be taken seriously. Plaintiffs may not file a complaint in the court without having made a reasonable investigation into the facts. And he cannot, as an attorney whose license is on the line, rely on a referring attorney. And now, like I said, I don't even believe that part, that someone referred him, because he had that 1800 number saying, call me if you got a case against Diddy. Okay, let's go on. In addition, attorneys who learn after filing a complaint that the factual assertions are false must immediately withdraw the claims. Now, like I said, this plaintiff, I was like, how do they know they have the right person? How do they know they have the right person? How do we know this is the actual plaintiff? Because remember, the plaintiff is anonymous in the lawsuit. How did they find this person? Because Busby agreed for this lady to do an interview in his office. Okay, so Busby is asserting this is the plaintiff making the allegations against Jay Z and Diddy. Busby is there during the interview, co-signing what the client is saying. So we don't have a mistaken identity and this is who we think the plaintiff is. Now NBC News knows it, right? And then it's probably going to be ordered that she reveals her identity, especially doing an interview. Like, you're not trying to be anonymous. Why are you doing an interview before the court has even determined whether you can be anonymous? Busby, why are you doing an interview with your client? Because your feelings are hurt that Jay Z said you're a liar, and now it looks like you're a liar. Okay, so this is not mistaken identity. Interview done in Busby's office with Busby present, saying this is the plaintiff that's making the allegations against Diddy and Jay Z. Stupid move if you wanted this case to go forward. Okay, let's see what else. Let's see what else they have to say. So he's required, after learning in the complaint that the assertions are false. So he knows because he was there at the interview. And he heard his client admit that she's made some mistakes, right? So Jay-Z is saying, you need to withdraw before I file this motion. Are they going to give him a safe harbor? Doesn't sound like it. Maybe they will when they do the actual motion. This is just a letter letting the court know what Jay-Z is about to do. And if Busby is smart and Jay-Z is accurate, he should probably withdraw the complaint. Okay. But then it's going to make Busby look like a liar, and he doesn't want to look like a liar. Hence why he did the interview in the first place, which was still stupid, in my opinion. Okay, so a lawyer shall not bring or defend a proceeding or assert or controvert an issue therein unless there is a basis in the law and the fact for doing so that is not frivolous. Imposing Rule 11 sanctions for amended complaint that repeated allegations that lack the evidentiary support. So he filed and amended the complaint, adding Jay-Z to it, knowing that he didn't vet the claims, is what Jay-Z is saying. He should be sanctioned. Given today's revelations, Mr. Busby almost certainly failed to undertake a reasonable inquiry into the facts before filing the complaint. He should never have brought the claims. Affirming sanctions ordered where a plaintiff's complaint was entirely frivolous and was made as part of a conscious effort to harass the defendant. Jay-Z thinks that this is to harass him. At minimum, he should withdraw them now. Jay-Z is giving him an attorney, giving him a chance to just withdraw this complaint so that they don't have to keep going forward, right? And to avoid sanctions. And when we're talking about sanctions, we're not talking about sanctions against the plaintiff, right? This thing could have completely happened. However, the facts don't align to support filing a lawsuit. You don't have a case, is what Busby should have told his client, according to Jay-Z. You don't have a case. We don't have enough evidence. We can't go forward with this. This is what Jay-Z's wanting Busby to tell his client. But Busby's like, no, we're going to file it anyway. Let's see. Let's see if they'll settle without having all of our ducks in a row, right? So Jay-Z is saying withdraw now or face sanctions. And sanctions can include him losing his license and also paying Jay-Z's attorney's fees, which I wouldn't be surprised if Jay-Z's attorneys are charging $1,000 or more per hour. So Busby, I don't think you want to pay that. And it's not for his plaintiff, his client to pay. It's going to be for Busby to pay. And then also facing like malpractice, not a good look, not a good look. Allowing these claims to remain pending even a moment longer not only harms Mr. Carter, his family, his business, his employees, and his legacy, it also impairs the integrity of the judicial system, thwarts the pursuit of justice, and silences the voices of true victims. Furthermore, it appears that Mr. Busby has attempted to circumvent the authority of this court to enforce Rule 11 and associated obligations by declining to seek admission to this court before signing pleadings and other documents. And so what does the court mean? In order to practice in certain courts, you have to have admission to practice in those courts, and that varies depending on where you are. We are in the district courts, okay? We are not in state court. We are in the district courts, okay? The federal courts. Federal courts generally require for you to seek admission to practice. Now, while we've already covered on this channel that Busby is licensed in California, Jay-Z is basically saying he's not permitted, he's not admitted to practice in this particular district court that the case was filed in, which is kind of administrative, and Busby needed to do that before he actually filed. It's different to be licensed and be able to practice law versus being able to actually file things in the court. And Jay-Z is saying he did not get the admission to file things in the court. So not only is Jay-Z saying that your client is lying, or at least doesn't have the memory to support the things that she's saying. So she may not full on be lying, but she doesn't have enough evidence to support the claims that she's asserting. Hence, the lawsuit shouldn't be filed. But he's also saying, you can't even practice in this court. You may be licensed in New York, but you are not admitted in this court. It's a district court. It's not a superior court. You can't just come in and just start practicing law in this court, is what Jay-Z is saying there. I hope that makes sense. Mr. Busby is not licensed to practice law in this court, and he has not sought, let alone obtain admission pro advice, meaning like he can get the court's permission to practice in the court without being sworn into that court. Yet it is nearly 8 weeks since he initiated this proceeding. Mr. Busby has filed a complaint in this matter that was signed solely by him using the signature, signed the amended complaint alongside other counsel that added Mr. Carter as a defendant, and noticed a motion for the plaintiff to proceed anonymously, accompanied by a supporting brief and a declaration, once again signed only by him. Most recently, on December 10, 2024, Mr. Busby filed a letter, which he also signed alone. Now, if you recall, Busby was trying to say Jay Z's attorneys are doing things procedurally incorrect because they're filing motions and they're filing letters to the court in order to create a media frenzy. Jay Z can subject himself to jurisdiction by filing something in a case that's naming him without being served. They can do that. Okay. Busby didn't supply any supporting law of why they can't do it. So I'm going to assume, just as normal practice, they can do it. He can subject himself to the jurisdiction of the court. But yet Busby has not even been sworn into this court. He has not asked the court to have permission to practice in this court. Different if it's the lower level state trial court. Most state trial courts do not require for you to have permission to practice in the court. But this is district court, and you need permission, is what Jay Z is saying. I haven't looked at the laws in New York. I'm going to assume he's correct because it's correct in California that you do need an admission to practice in the district court. And Jay Z is saying that Busby has not done that to even be filing these motions. So y'all want to say we're doing things procedurally wrong? Yeah, Busby, you're doing things procedurally wrong, which I would not be surprised if he doesn't practice a lot of cases in New York, honestly. And I said that in a previous stream. Mr. Busby's failure to obtain admission to the bar of this court is a transparent attempt to circumvent the basic requirements of Rule 11 and the rules of professional conduct. Admission subjects the attorney to the jurisdiction of the court and to sanction for signing pleadings that are not grounded in facts and the law. Mr. Busby thus appears to have strategically declined to seek admission in order to avoid sanctions for a complaint that he knew had no factual basis. And so basically, Jay Z goes on to cite a case that when an attorney has not sought admission into the court has not been able to impose sanctions on them because they don't have jurisdiction over that attorney, even though they're filing cases in the court. So I would not be surprised either if Busby just didn't know he needed to do it because he doesn't normally practice in New York, but he has been licensed for a very long time in Texas and should assume that the rules apply similarly in district courts, that you do need admission to basically be able to practice there. Or also, like Jay Z said, maybe it was a strategic reason. And okay, I'm going to file this. I know maybe the facts are not all the way there. We're hoping to really just get a settlement. And if I do anything wrong, or if Jay Z catches on or Diddy catches on that these allegations are not fully supported by evidence, they won't be able to at least sanction me because I haven't subjected myself to the court's jurisdiction. I wouldn't be surprised either way that goes, whether that was strategic or whether he just didn't know, to tell you the truth. But as an attorney, you are kind of given this crown to know these kind of things. Given these facts, Mr. Carter intends to file immediately a motion to strike the first amended complaint under Rule 11C2 and 12F. He respectfully requests that the court shorten the filing deadline for the motion from 21 days to 1 day from the date of service in light of today's stunning public disclosures and the severe ongoing harm to Mr. Carter's reputation. So he's asking to basically... He's going to file a motion and he wants Busby to respond in 1 day. I don't think that's going to happen, Jay Z. I do not think that's going to happen, but it's worth a shooting your shot. It is worth shooting your shot to see where you can go from there. Now, y'all may be asking, okay, what did this lady say in her interview to get Jay Z's attorney filing this letter pretty much immediately? Pretty much immediately, he's filing this later. He said at 7 p.m. Friday. No, sorry. Glorilla citations. He said at 7 p.m. What was it? 7 p.m. today. So Friday. And he's filing a motion in the court basically after hours saying this is an issue. Judge, please don't read this over the weekend. You can wake up and go to court on Monday and find that Jay Z is filing letters after hours. Y'all, we know we are live. If y'all got comments about the case, make sure you are commenting in the chat box. We're going to get to those chats at the end of the live stream. If you're on the replay, make sure that you're dropping it down in the comment section so that I can respond and get you the answers that you are seeking. If I don't address it on the live stream. If y'all haven't already, please do hit the like button. I do see that there's 49 people watching live on the live stream, but only 24 likes. So I know y'all like it because y'all are here. Make sure y'all are hitting the like button to go ahead and support the stream. We should at least be at 50 likes for the live stream. Okay, y'all. So make sure y'all are hitting the like button. If you're not subscribed, do subscribe. Okay. Now, let's get into what this lady said in her interview to make Jay Z file this motion pretty much immediately after he learned of the information. Let's have Bossy B bring us into that. Okay, so reminder of what's actually going on in the case, y'all. This is the case where the 13-year-old woman is accusing, or was 13 years old at the time, she's now a woman, is accusing Jay Z and Diddy of R-wording her after the VMAs at a after party at Diddy's house in 2000. We talked about this on a previous live stream. You have to have evidence to support that these things happened. And when we're talking about 24 years ago, you're probably not going to have text messages to support. Pictures are going to be able to show where and when, who was where, right? We need people to be able to testify in support of your allegations. You coming forward and saying this happened, and Diddy and Jay Z and the female celebrity that you're accusing and the other celebrity that you talked to at the party and your dad saying, no, that didn't happen, your case is not likely to succeed. So you've named all of these people, one of which can't even testify because they have passed away. So there's no way for Jay Z or Diddy to even do an investigation into them. But your daddy, who you said is the one that picked you up, is saying, nah, bro, that didn't happen. So let's see what this lady said in her interview that Busby, mind you, was there. The attorney was there for, which I would not be very surprised if he is the one that set it up. Now, I don't know who set it up, but Busby agreed to have this interview conducted in his law firm at his conference room. I don't know if it was in his conference room, but in his law office, right? He agreed to have this interview done. Mind you, all week, Jay Z has been calling him a liar, liar, pants on fire. So my opinion is that he set this up to basically clear his name and show that this is the truth. But why would you take your anonymous plaintiff? Sorry, y'all, I'm getting heated because the lawyering is not lawyering coming from Busby, and I know he's been a lawyer pretty much for the entire time that I've been alive. So I expect better of him. So maybe that's why I'm just I'm so upset about it. Okay. You want to say Jay Z is doing a media frenzy? Why are you volunteering for your client to do interviews before the case makes it to court to prove that you're not a liar, liar, pants on fire? And then the interview comes out and proves that your client is a liar, liar, pants on fire. Or not, maybe she's not a liar, liar, pants on fire. You're a liar, liar, pants on fire for not vetting the claims, right? Maybe she just doesn't remember. It's been 24 years. It's been 24 years. Not outrageous. I don't see how he's going to have the evidence to support the claims. Like I've said in previous live streams, a lot of times people just, they just settle, right? They settle because they don't want their names in it, which they thought that's what Jay Z was going to do. He filed his own lawsuit saying, I'm not going to do that, right? These kind of cases settle just because they don't want to deal with it. Let me give you $10,000. Let me give you $30,000 for you to go away. This is like a dollar to these billionaires, right? And I feel like that's what this plaintiff, or not this plaintiff, what Busby was trying to do with these lawsuits, kind of get a quick money grab. And that's my opinion. Busby, don't come after me. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's see what this lady said. An Alabama woman who accused Jay Z and Diddy of R-wording her when she was 13 years old sat down with NBC to recount what she called a catastrophic event, a limo ride to a White House, a drink that made her feel woozy, and an essay by rap stars that would ruin her life. But the woman and her lawyers also acknowledged that there were some inconsistencies in her account in the response to the questions by NBC News. Why would you sign up for this interview? Like, I can't get over it. Excuse my poor highlighting skills on the computer. It gets the job done. Okay, y'all, don't judge me. Okay, so I have made some mistakes in her recollection of that night. The woman identified as Jane Doe in the lawsuit filed by Jay Z and Diddy told NBC News. I keep trying to get to this point and I keep skipping over it. You want your client to be anonymous, okay? While she's saying to NBC News, I want to be anonymous, they can still see her. Maybe they did the interview without seeing her. I don't see the point what the point would be for them to then come to the office if they couldn't see her. But now NBC News knows who she is. One of the factors to determine whether she should continue to be anonymous is whether she has kept her case anonymous herself. Her attorney has put it into media for people to look at. And now they're doing an interview as a Jane Doe. So NBC can know who she is, but Diddy and Jay Z can't know who she is. Again, bad move. Did we not think this through, Busby? Did we not think it through? I'm going to say no, we didn't. Okay. This woman says she stands by her allegations overall. The inconsistencies in her account of the incidents alleged to have happened 24 years ago do not necessarily mean the allegations are false. And like I said, I'm not saying that she is the liar. I am saying she cannot prove her case in court. And her attorney should have told her, you don't have a case because you can't prove it in court. While these things may have happened to you, you cannot prove it in court. Okay. Among the inconsistencies, the woman said her father picked her up after the alleged SA, but he says he doesn't recall that. We'll get into his explanation of that. The woman also claimed she spoke to a celebrity at the after party where she said she was SA, but the celebrity said he was not in New York at the time. And images from the evening show Jay Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, and Sean Diddy Combs at a different location than the one the woman described, although their whereabouts for the entire evening are unclear. So she has named this random celebrity. We'll get into who it is in a moment. She's named the celebrity and said she spoke to this particular celebrity and kind of detailed what this person was and what their conversation was. And that celebrity says, I wasn't there. So that's one witness gone. She said that her dad picked her up from the party. Dad said, no, I didn't. And we're going to get into why the dad knows he did not do that 24 years later. Okay. And now we got Jay Z and Diddy actually at a completely different after party. Now that one is not as strong as an alibi to say, oh, this didn't happen, because they could have easily stopped at an after party and then went back to Diddy's house later, depending on how long it was after the after party that they went to the house and allegedly found this girl in a room sleeping, trying to, get rid of the woozy feeling, right? But she also indicates that the limo driver said that they were going to take her there after they dropped off Diddy. Okay. So let's go ahead and get back into it. Okay. This incident didn't happen, says Jay Z. This is Jay Z's position. Carter told NBC News in a statement on Friday, and yet he filed it in a court and doubled down in the press. Let's see. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon. And I've gotten a comment on TikTok saying that they believe that Busby is an ambulance chaser. And that is also of my opinion. You're trying to get cases that may not, you're having people call in for these cases and trying to get this bulk amount of cases. Like I said, I don't think that he'll be able to defend all of them if they all do go for it. But I can agree with the thought that he is an ambulance chaser. Okay. Busby says he is continuing to vet her claims. How are you continuing to vet claims and you already filed a lawsuit? You should vet the claims before you file a lawsuit. You're signing your name to it. Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another who vetted it prior to sending it to us. You still have to do your own vetting. Our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists. Because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. I have never had a client suggest to do that for. She can believe these things happen to her, and we're going to get to why. She is not the ideal witness for these claims. We're going to get into a lot of facts. Not only do you not have physical evidence to support it, but we're going to get into a lot of facts of why she is not going to be a good witness on the stand. And that is something that attorneys have to think about when they're filing lawsuits. You have to be confident that you can prove your case in a lawsuit. You can believe your client. I'm not saying these things didn't happen to her, right? You can believe her, but can you prove it in court? And I say he cannot. In any event, he added, we also do our best to vet each claim made, just as we did in this case. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to stress. Goes on to say the allegations against Carter suggested a seismic shift, potentially linking the rap legend to the alleged behavior. Sorry, I didn't mean to read that one. Carter's attorney, Alex Spiro, said, it is stunning that a lawyer would not only file such a serious complaint about without proper vetting, but would make these worse by further peddling these false stories in the press. I can agree with that. We are asking the court to dismiss this frivolous case today and will take up the matter of additional discipline for Mr. Busby and all lawyers that filed the complaint. NBC News traveled to Houston to interview the woman who declined to be identified at her attorney's office earlier this week. So he did an interview at his office pending a motion of whether she can stay anonymous. Now we're talking to the press. I feel like I'm lecturing Busby, and he's probably like double my age. He's probably like double my age, and I'm lecturing him. So we're doing an interview with an anonymous woman with the news while we're pending a motion for her to stay anonymous. And pending several letters calling you a liar. But we have to prove that Busby is not a liar. Dumb move. I'm going to keep saying it. Dumb move. Okay, going on. You should always fight for what happened to you, she said about why she is going public with her accusations now. You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did ruin or run your life. I just hope I can give others the strength to come forward like I came forward. The woman, who is now 38, told NBC News that she was living in Rochester, New York in 2000 and that attending the VMAs was on my on my bucket list at 13. It was like, oh my gosh, one of those things I've got to do. She said she snuck out of a window to evade her parents. Now we're going to get into it a little bit more. Rochester, New York is about 6 hours away from New York City, where the VMAs were. We're talking about a 13-year-old girl traveling 6 hours. She doesn't say whether she left or not, or at night or in the day, traveling 6 hours to New York City with a friend. What friend is driving a car 6 hours? A friend of a 13-year-old, not her auntie, not her uncle, not her grandma, adult people that normally would make a 6-hour drive. But a friend of a 13-year-old drove her to the VMAs 6 hours away. And when she got into a pickle, she ran to the gas station, and her dad, who lives in Rochester, 6 hours away, picked her up from the gas station. And he's saying he don't remember doing nothing like that. And we're going to get into why these claims are not going to stand on the stand. Like I said, could have happened. Could have mixed up some facts. That's what she's already admitted to. Maybe she had some trouble identifying things, but let's go on. Let me know what y'all think. We're live. Let me know y'all thoughts in the chat. Okay. So she stuck out of a window, traveled 6 hours to New York City, right? A friend drove her to Radio City Music Hall in New York City. She said in the lawsuit, people thronged into viewing areas outside the venue, which was decked out for the awards. Crowds roared when J-Lo arrived. Eminem performed on the streets. She didn't have a ticket and said in the suit she's watched some of the show on a jumbotron outside. She also started chatting up limo drivers. I'm trying to try to stay back and get to an after party and get invited in and meet some celebrities, she told NBC News. I guess that's what she said. Very bad sentence, but that's what she said. One limo driver said he worked for Combs and that she fit what Diddy was looking for. The suit said that, and he told her to return later and he'd take her to the after party. After about 20 minutes in a limo, she said in the suit she arrived at a large white residence with a gated U-shaped driveway. She said in the suit she signed a document that she didn't read, which is alluding to the NDA she's claiming she signed. Inside, she told NBC News, I'm talking to like Fred Durst, Benji Madden about his tattoo because about his tattoo. That's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about. So very specific in what she's claiming she was talking to these celebrities about. Now, I don't know these celebrities offhand. I did not look up their tattoos. Okay. So let's see. After accepting a drink from a waitress, she told NBC News, I started feeling funny, tried to start looking for a place to lay down. She found an empty room with a bed in it, and she said in the suit, and soon after, Combs, Carter, and a woman entered the room. You are ready to party, Combs said, according to the suit. Again, we don't really have a time frame of when this stuff happened, right? She's just saying she was there. She talked to some people. She went to lay down. For all we know, this could have been multiple hours. They could have gone to the after party and then back to Diddy's house. We don't know that, right? Not saying, like I said, not saying that these things didn't happen, but whether she's going to be able to credibly testify on the stand. Both Combs and Carter R-worded her. She said, Jay Z comes over, holds me down. I start trying to push away. He puts his hand over my mouth, tells me to stop it and cut the S word. And then he R-words me like he had me overpowered, she said. Afterwards, she said in the suit, she managed to flee the house and ran to a gas station. I was upset, and the person at the gas station could tell that I was obviously upset, and she let me use the phone. I called my dad because he was the only person I trust at the time. I told him I messed up and I needed a ride home. Mind you, she's 6 hours away from home, calling her dad in the middle of the night. Okay? Calling her dad in the middle of the night. Give me a second, y'all. Okay. So called her dad, told him she messed up, and he's coming to get her, right? She told NBC, and this is where her story starts to flake, and we'll talk a little bit more about her story starting to flake. She told NBC News that she never told anyone about the alleged assault or wrote it down in a diary. It doesn't really matter if she told anybody about the assault because it would be considered hearsay anyways. They would have had to witness it, which she's saying a celebrity witnesses, and she talked to someone at the party that maybe should remember the conversation, right? Even if somebody found out, who was going to believe me? I mean, it was the word of two celebrities against mine, she said. And that's the reason why she didn't tell, which is understandable. I can agree with that. The years after were hard, she said. I got severely depressed. I withdrew completely. My grades started slipping, and she dropped out of school. She experienced homelessness, she said, and at one point suffered a head injury. She and her father also said she was R-worded later in life. Now, we have a 13-year-old girl 24 years ago who was feeling woozy from a drink that she drank, according to the lawsuit, may have been laced with drugs, may have been the effects of alcohol on a 13-year-old who's not even legally able to drink, right? So you're 13, 24 years ago, you're potentially drunk or drugged, right? And now you're telling me you suffered a head injury. They are going to tear her up on the stand. They're going to tell her, you don't have the proper memory, okay, to be a witness on trial. You're drunk. Happened almost quarter of a century ago. And you want us to believe that your recount is accurate. And you're telling us you was either drugged or drunk. And you also have a head injury, which could potentially affect her memory. Not saying that it does, but it could potentially. They're going to tear her up on the stand. Okay? Let's go on. More. So we're there. Her father told NBC News that he does not recall picking her up after the alleged attack, casting doubt on a key detail in her lawsuit. According to their address at the time, her father would have driven more than 5 hours from their home to pick her up. That's something that you would remember if you drove 6 hours to pick your child up in the middle of the night. I feel like I would remember that. This is the dad talking, and I don't, he said in an interview on Thursday. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind. Yeah, driving 6 hours in the middle of the night would definitely stick in anyone's mind, right? The woman's father, who said he learned of the alleged assault this week, added that he did remember once picking her up in the middle of the night, but he said it was a local drive, which again casts doubt on her story. You would remember driving 6 hours to pick up a rebellious child. I'm going to call her a rebellious child because why are you going to VMAs without your parents' permission 6 hours away? You would remember driving 6 hours to pick someone up versus maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, right? To pick someone up in the middle of the night. She said that she was R-worded in the past. Is it possible that she could be mixing up that incident with this incident? Is it possible that she could have had trauma and she just put Jay Z and Diddy's face on it? Could it be that all these lawsuits coming out triggered her and put them as the perpetrators? Potentially. The dad says she was R-worded previously, later in life, not at 13, but later in life. And they're going to tear her apart on the stand. Absolutely tear her apart on the stand. Okay, so he said it's a local drive. Asked about her father's account in a follow-up interview on Friday, the woman said she stood by her claim and that he had picked her up and that it's possible he had misremembered. So we're talking about him misremembering as an adult man, right? You're 13, potentially drunk or drugged with a head injury now telling about this case from 24 years ago. And you want him to remember everything? You don't have any witnesses. There are a lot of things, and this is stuff we argue about constantly. Something he said or did back in New York around that time period, and he just doesn't remember. And the dad could potentially just not remember, right? He could have done it and just not remember. But the thing is, you don't have any witnesses. And now you have done this interview, and your dad has done this interview. And so guess what? When you go to trial, they're going to call your dad. And if your dad changes the story, he's going to say, okay, well, what about this interview you did? What about this interview you did? You said that you don't remember that. And now all of a sudden you're saying that you remember it? Oh, you are creating obstacles in your trial, Busby. That's what you're doing here. She said it actually causes a lot of fights sometimes in the household because dad doesn't remember things. Regarding her father's recollection, Busby told NBC, we agree he states he doesn't remember. His daughter explains that he was in no state to remember during that point in time due to his personal injuries he was having then. We are talking about a time frame more than 20 years ago, but you want us to believe your client that was 13 years old at the time, 20 years ago, but you don't want us to believe her daddy? You see the faults in your case. You see the fault in your case, and you should have told your client you're not going to be able to prove this in trial. I have to do that to my clients. Look, I understand this may have happened to you, but you don't have the evidence to prove this. You just don't, right? The woman also told NBC News she spoke with a musician, Benji Madden, at the after party, but a representative from Madden confirmed that neither Benji nor his brother Joel attended the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. The woman did not accuse the brothers of any wrongdoing. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me, and I route that I took to what happened to me. Not all the faces there are clear. So you're admitting that all the faces on the incident was not clear. You may have been driven to Diddy's house. You may have been R-worded, but was it Jay Z and Diddy? That would be the question that you would need to answer. And this is going to be pulled up in a trial on cross-examination. Not all the faces there are clear. That is going to be pulled up on cross-examination. We don't know if it was Diddy or Jay Z. Not saying it wasn't them, right? But you're telling us you don't even remember who you talked to, but you gave us a detailed account of who you talked to and why you talked to them. Their tattoo. Bad lawyering, Busby. The woman said on Friday, in a Friday follow-up interview. So I have made some mistakes. I may have made a mistake in identity. And you don't want us to believe that you could have mistaken Jay Z and Diddy. Again, not saying it didn't happen, but she can't prove it in trial. The woman also could not provide further information about the after party she said she attended. Professional images reviewed by NBC News shows Combs and Carter were among the celebrities who attended a VMA's after party at the Lotus nightclub in New York City. It is not clear what time those images were taken or if Combs and Carter attended any other after parties. And again, they could have easily went to Lotus and then came to Diddy's house or the house that she described and did those things. But without timelines, and we're talking 24 years ago, we probably don't got camera footage of it, right? Unless they find it in Diddy's, in his criminal trial with all the goddamn videos they're going to go through. How are we going to prove it was them, right? The building that housed Lotus now The building that housed Lotus, now closed, does not match the description of the house the woman described in the lawsuit and the interview. I didn't know exactly where we were going or even how long it took, the woman said. When asked Tuesday where she thought she was taken that night, she added that she had guessed about the length of time of the trip that had taken. Remember, she said it was 20 minutes. Busby said, "We have attempted to confirm the correct location. We have never suggested the location was the Lotus Club. Our client has been very specific and detailed about the description of the venue she says she was taken to, and she has never stated it was the Lotus Club." He added we won't speculate on whether there was an after party because again, she doesn't know that. Also, among the woman's allegations that could not be corroborated is how she made it to New York City that night. Remember, she's 13 years old, and she said a friend drove her. Okay? Most 13-year-olds are not friends with licensed drivers. That's my opinion. I was not friends. I guess I'm comparing it to my life. I was not friends with licensed drivers at 13 because you're out of my age range. There's no reason for me to be your friend, right? And I was in high school at that time. So there's no reason for me to be a junior's or a senior's friend like that, right? Maybe driving a cheerleading practice, maybe. But either way it goes, she's claiming that a friend drove her at 13 years old. One of her attorneys provided NBC News with the name and birth date of the friend she said drove her, who would have been 20 at the time. The person appears to have since died. So this person cannot corroborate that they were the person that drove her 6 hours to the VMAs in 2000 because they are no longer alive. NBC News attempts to reach the person relatives were unsuccessful. So we got a 13-year-old who was drugged or drunk at the time. She's since then had a head injury. She's since then admitted that maybe she's made mistakes in identifying people. Her dad has said that he did not pick her up from 6 hours away. The person that she's claiming drove her is now deceased and cannot corroborate that they drove her 6 hours away. She's telling us she doesn't remember how long it took her to get to the place that she went to. The celebrity that she talked to says that he wasn't even in New York at the time, and they have evidence to support that. And you're telling us you've made mistakes in identity from 24 years ago. You can't tell me Busby vetted these claims. Hello.
Yeah, you can't tell me.
You can't tell me that he vetted these claims. And I'm not saying that Jay Z didn't do it. I'm not saying Diddy didn't do it. I'm not saying they have freak offs. I'm not saying they didn't do these things. But Busby and his lawyering, if all of this, what NBC is saying, is true, which has quotes from Busby, right? You know that her story is not as accurate as it should be in filing these claims, and you know that you're not going to have physical evidence to support it, and you know that you're not going to have evidence to support it, and you're dealing with someone who is very young at the time, drugged and or drunk, and has since had a head injury, and her dad's testimony doesn't even corroborate what you're saying. The neutral celebrity doesn't corroborate what you're saying, and the person that drove her is no longer alive. It's just not something that should be in trial. So if y'all got comments, go ahead and drop them. Go ahead and drop them. We're going to go through them. Y'all haven't hit the like button. There's 57 people watching live, y'all. Like, let's not play. We're only at 39 likes. We can for sure get to 50 likes. So if you haven't hit the like button, please do. If you're watching on the replay, please go ahead and hit the like button as well. Let us know what your comments are. And if you are watching on the live and you got opinions about this, because I have opinions. I have opinions, okay? Go ahead and drop it in the chat so that we can go over it. Let's do that. All right. So we had Cheryl Reed dropping in early saying hello, and welcome into the chat. Nice to have you back tonight. We got Goldie Boy, I hope I'm saying that right, saying breaking news with Bri. Yes, and welcome into a Sunday live stream, which we don't do. We don't do. So welcome into everyone that has come in and enjoyed this live stream for today. Let us know your comments. We got Christmas Mullen, member of the channel. Welcome back, saying hi, Bri, and dropping some BriHive emojis. If you're a member of the channel, you do have special email emojis that I like designed myself. So make sure you guys are using them. And welcome in Christmas Mullen. Cheryl Reed says, why is she even participating in interviews? Definitely shady. Like, why? Busby, you want to support your claim. This is bad. This is bad lawyering. That's all it is, Cheryl Reed. It's bad lawyering for sure. If she wants to do an interview, do it at the end of the trial. Mr. Howard says, hi, Bree. Hello and welcome in. Nice to see you again. We got Kristen Smolin saying, oh, so she has come forward. She has come forward. She wants to remain anonymous in the lawsuit, but does an interview while the anonymous motion is pending. And Jay Z is saying, no, she can't be anonymous. It sounds like the first day of the interview was Tuesday, which is the day after Jay Z said she shouldn't be able to be anonymous because he filed that on Monday. And so you do an interview on Tuesday, and then you do a follow-up interview on Friday, and now this comes out, showing that your facts are not sufficient to proceed. And now the court has not made any determination of whether this is going to be able to go forward or not, right? They filed it Friday after hours. The court probably hasn't even seen it, or maybe if they like to work on the weekends, maybe they did see it, but they haven't been able to rule on it. There's no hearing on it. He has to still file the full motion to dismiss. This is just a letter saying, Tony, you're effing up. If you want to save yourself, withdraw this complaint, okay? So we don't know if it's going to go forward. We don't know if Jay Z is all the way accurate, but with this interview, quotes from Busby, come on. She has come forward, and it doesn't look like she's trying to stay that anonymous by doing media interviews. Okay. Cheryl Reed said to Kristen Mullen, yes, by doing a sit-down interview for ABC. And again, this is not an instance of mistaken identity. This interview was done in Busby's his office. It was done in Busby's office. So it's not just a random person saying, oh, I'm the one suing Jay Z and let me make all these false claims. Like, we had the letter from the other person that tried to hire Busby, and we're like, well, we don't really know who that is. They're saying that person is anonymous. We don't know. It could just be anyone making up these claims. This is the plaintiff. And Busby is certifying that this is the plaintiff by having the interview done in his office, according to NBC, assuming they're not lying, right? Christmas Mullen says, I mean, she throws up all the red flags by not going to the police with her allegations, in my honest opinion. I would not say necessarily, given that she was like 13 at the time. And I don't think they extended the statute as far as like process. Well, no, I think when you're under, well, I don't know, although I was in New York, so. But underage, I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on that. But I wouldn't necessarily say because she didn't go to the police that it's a red flag. It's more of your memory is not sufficient to go to trial, okay? Christmas Mullen says to Cheryl Reed, oh, really? I did not know that. Wow. Christmas Mullen says, yes, exactly. Christmas Mullen says, if this assault did happen, she would be better off taking it to the police, especially with Diddy involved. Yes, and maybe she will testify at the trial, but at this point, she is going to get torn up on the stand. And there's no way that this case is going forward without her testifying because there's no other evidence. There's no other evidence. She would have to testify, and they are going to eat her up on the stand. Why is your client making public statements that she can be cross-examined on about the lawsuit? Prior inconsistent statements, exception to hearsay. Tony Busby, what are we doing? I know that man's like double my age because he got licensed a couple years after I was born. What are you doing? Cheryl Reed says, well, I'll say that I'm glad I'm glad for Jay Z and family. Now, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying she can't prove it. That kind of rhyme. Kristen Bone says, doing the interview at all is wild. Do it after the lawsuit, man. What are you doing? And I'm not blaming the plaintiff. I'm blaming her attorney. What are you doing? Sherry says, Buster is shady. And I hope the case gets thrown out. It's going to get thrown out. I just don't see this going forward after this. He better withdraw it. And he better take a good look at the other lawsuits that he filed. Kristen the First says, hey, Bree and BriHive. Hope you are all well. Hello and welcome in. Nice to have you back tonight. Zoe B, another member of the channel, says, hello, Bree and BriHive, lurking on catch-up mode. I had the feeling this Busby lawyer might be another Michael Avenatti who who's serving time in federal pen for fraud, extortion, and embezzlement. Allegedly, according to Jay Z, he has already been investigated. Busby has already been investigated by the FBI. I haven't looked deeper into it, but assuming his attorneys are telling the truth and filing the motion, he has already been investigated by the FBI for similar cases to this, filing SA claims against people that were frivolous. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I would not be surprised. Christmas Mullen says it's all good. The highlighting, yeah, it's all jacked up. Christmas Mullen says, although the dad could potentially be lying to cover himself from allowing his 13-year-old girl to attend the party in the first place. My question would be like, what would be the purpose of lying? That was 25 years ago. He can't go to jail for that. And she admitted that she snuck out. So I don't think he could get in trouble for that in general. So I just don't see the point of lying. I can sympathize with the fact that it was almost 25 years ago. And maybe he doesn't admit it. He's saying that he had his own issues, which in my opinion is suggesting that he had some type of maybe addiction issue or maybe even mental issues to where he might not be able to remember. But also you need witnesses to go forward on the trial. And so you should talk to your dad prior to filing the lawsuit and say, this happened to me and you pick me up. If you're going to implicate him, at least make sure that he's going to support you and what you're saying. And the dad is saying he found out about the lawsuit this week. He found out about the claims this week and found out he was implicated. At least cooperate it with him before you file the motion or before you file or talk to the attorney. You could at least ask them to lie. Now I'm saying, don't practice law that way, but she could at least ask them to lie before she filed the lawsuit, man. It would have helped her a little bit. We would have had a little bit more if dad said, yeah, I did pick her up from New York. How long did it take him to get to the gas station? All of those kind of questions are going to come out. Like, why would you do this interview? Busby, why would you let your client do this interview? Kristen Mullen says, oh, he definitely an ambulance chaser. Yep. I would have to agree. That's my opinion. Busby, sorry. I know I'm yelling at you in the camera. I don't know you like that. But I can say, as a young attorney, this is bad lawyering. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Kristen Mullen says, yep. She could have developed false memories, potentially. Yeah, because sometimes you trauma block it. You don't really remember it. Maybe you added a face. You're saying you mistake the identity and the whole. I mean, like, can you mistake the entire conversation? I'm going to have to look up the celebrity and see if he actually has that tattoo. But can you mistake the entire conversation? And then all these other things, like, they just all go against her. She's not going to be the perfect witness. And you don't have to be a perfect witness. You're not going to be a good witness. She's not going to be a good witness at all. When you start throwing in those years, that's all already an issue. Then you start throwing in the age, that's an issue. Then you throw in the alcohol, potentially drugs, that's an issue. Then you throw in how long ago it was, that's an issue. And then you throw in a injury, that's an issue. And then you messing up identities of people, saying your daddy picked you up. It's not going to go well. That's all. It's not going to go well. Kristen Mullen says, and what parent is not frantic when they discover the child missing and gone for hours? And you had to drive 6 hours, but he said he never drove that far to pick her up. He has admitted that he has picked her up in the middle of the night before, but it was a local drive. You can decipher whether something was an hour because you would be pissed off. I would be pissed off. I'm in Northern California. If I had a child, I don't have any children, but if I had a child, and my child called me and said, I'm in LA. What do you mean you're in LA and you need a ride from the gas station? In the middle of the night. For one, I'm probably not driving down there at that time. You might have to go to a hotel. I might rent you a hotel and you go stay there and then I come get you in the morning. But 6 hours of you waiting at a gas station and you did not specify that in the lawsuit. I went to a gas station. I called my dad. He was far away, so I had to wait in the gas station until morning. Like, that would have been an important fact to add into the complaint, in my opinion, if that's true, right? But dad said he remembers picking her up in the middle of the night. He doesn't say he remembers picking her up from New York City. For all we know, he's going to get up there and testify she never went to New York City. And then let's say he drove the 6 hours. Let's say he's not me and not going to put her in the hotel for the night. Let's say he drove the 6 hours. The car ride for 6 hours was silent. He didn't ask you no questions. That's what she says in there. I don't know if I read that part. He didn't ask you no questions. How did you end up in New York? Maybe. How did you get here? Maybe. What were you doing? Maybe. Like, he didn't ask no questions. None at all. Come on now. Shabana is waving hello and welcome in. Nice to see you again. Kristen and Fred says, wait, so the dad drove 6 hours to pick her up, like 6 hours one way or in total? 6 hours one way. So 6 hours there, 6 hours back. Okay. Details missing from the complaint. I'm telling you. Kristen and Fred says, what did she do during the time he was on his way to pick her up? Just stay at the gas station? That's the question. Why were those details not mentioned in the lawsuit? I had to wait there until morning. Dad didn't get me till 2 p.m. the next day. Come on. He can get up there and testify. I never picked her up from New York. She never even went to New York when she was a kid. If you're going to implicate people, at least get your lies straight. Get your lies straight, or your facts straight. I'll say that. Kristen Mullen says, yes, that's fair. Not telling anyone. Yeah, I would say some people don't tell. Alicia Vasquez says, yeah, dad wouldn't forget that. I wouldn't forget that. It's a 12-hour round trip to pick up someone from a gas station. Yeah, I would remember that. Keep Mystery says Swiss cheese. Kristen Mullen says, yeah, that is a thought. She might be conflating the two, a local SA and what is going on with Diddy now, possibly, and just kind of combine. Maybe even the assaulter looked like Diddy and Jay Z. Like I said, maybe it was JG. Maybe it was P City. We don't know, right? Could have confused things. Could have had like a mental block for the last 20 years. And then when all this stuff started coming out about Jay Z, and then you say, oh yeah, Diddy's the one that did it to me. That's possible. Christopher says, if my dad had to drive 6 hours in the middle of the night to pick me up because I snuck out of the house, he'd be bringing it up at every opportunity, LOL. He never let me live it down. True. How would you forget that? How would you forget that? Christmas Mullen agrees with Christopher. Alicia Vasquez says, does dad have memory problems? That would be the question. He said he has his own issues. So it could be that he had an addiction issue. It could be that he also has a memory issue, right? But also, you don't have no witnesses. And now you've done an interview saying that your dad picked you up. What are you going to do? Cross-examine your own witness and say he has memory problems and we should believe her, the girl that was 13 and drunk/drugged and had a brain injury since then? But we shouldn't believe dad, who was an adult at the time and would have been responsible for driving the 6 hours and then 6 hours back, and he never brought it up again? Dan said he just found out about the allegations last week. I don't know about that. I do not know about that. Kristen at first says to Kristen Mullen, yeah, the lawyers could easily claim she's mixing up the two incidents because of her past head injury and memory issues and the age and how long ago it was and the alcohol. All of the above, right? All of the above. Like, the alcohol in itself is an issue. Her age in itself is an issue. How long ago in itself is an issue. And then you got all these other facts coming in, not corroborating what you're asserting. You have no one to be your witness. No one. Christmas Mullen says to Christopher, yep, it would possibly make it harder for her on the stand. Even if Diddy and co did essay her, should may have an uphill battle proving that. Yes, that's what I'm saying. These things could have happened. She may not be confusing them with JG and Sean Barter, right? She may not be confusing them with someone else, but she don't have the evidence to prove it at trial. It's an uphill battle. I would agree. Christmas Mullen also says to Christopher, yep. Oh, I think I already got that one. I think it was doubled. Okay. Christopher says to Christmas Mullen, yeah, if what she claims is true, it's going to be very difficult to prove her case, which is really sad and unfortunate with the circumstances. And I've said that before on the previous live stream. These things definitely could have happened. It's possible that they happened. But if you can't prove it in court, you don't win. You don't win. And they're going to tear her up on stand. And they're going to dig into everything. You're saying you had all these mental health issues. They're going to go through your medical records. I'm glad she admitted to the brain injury before the medical records, but they would have had a field day with that if that didn't come out in the interview, right? And then if we turn around and find out that she had other issues, they say that she experienced homelessness, not saying that she was an addict on homelessness, but it's not surprising when you find out that people that are homeless had some type of addiction to something, a drug, an alcohol, anything, right? They're going to have a field day with this. And I would not suggest this going to court. I would not suggest anyone takes this to court. Alan says, hi, hey, BriHive, hello and welcome in. Deacon Fatal says to me in chat, hello to me in chat, and I can admit when I was wrong. Yeah. Welcome in, Deacon Fatal, member and moderator of the channel. Christmas Mullen says to Christopher, yes, for sure. Christmas Mullen says, Mr. Bree, I'm walking in. Yeah. He came in. Kai Mystery says Busby should have never had his client do an interview at all. You just gave Jay Z ammo. Like, were you trying to get out of this case or what? Because you gave him a lot of ammo. Kristen first says, I was surprised to see Bree live today, but glad I can join this time. No problem. I had to cover this. I am in trial myself next week, so we probably won't stream as much. So I wanted to make sure that I had time to cover this. K Missy says her case is Swiss cheese again. It's cheese. Holy cheese, okay? Kristen Mullen says that's fair about going to the police. Yeah, Chris Mullen says true. That girl says, when did she admit she lied? She didn't necessarily admit she lied. She admitted that her facts are not straight, which essentially is admitted that you lied. You can't prove it in court, right? You can't prove it in court. Kristen Mullen says, that's wild. Reed not talking to the dad first. Yeah, like, why would you not consult with him before you added him in there? You could have made up another person that would not be able to testify against you. But you have your dad who is able to testify against you. Kristen Mullen says, I'm okay with it. LOL. Deacon Fado says, yep. That girl says, I would love to hear Busby's response, or will he just let it quietly die down unless he has a strong response? Jay Z's attorney is going to file a motion. We probably will see the motion on Monday. We're probably going to see that motion tomorrow. Okay. He's not going to be able to let this die down. He's not. He's going to have to respond to it at some point. Deacon Fatal says timeline isn't added. Timing at all. They should have vetted this further. Talk about another firm vetted it. It's up to you. You're the one that filed it. You have to vet it. Zoe B says her account of how she got to the city that night sounds similar to the 1987 movie Adventures in Babysitting, where she's the one that required a babysitter. Yeah, right. 13 and traveling 6 hours with some random 20-year-old. That in itself sounds sketchy to me. And they just dropped her off and left her there. Like, what the heck? Kristen first says, I love it when Bree yells our older, more experienced lawyer. Can I read English? Yells older, more experienced lawyers who should know better. Just go to show you that Bree is awesome and a great lawyer. Thank you very much. Busby, I don't understand how we got here. And so I'm sorry for yelling on this lovely Sunday at this attorney. And like I said, I don't think that Jay Z is innocent. I don't think Diddy is innocent. I think the lawyers are not lawyering on Busby's side. That's what I think. Christmas Mullen says, and not just 6 hours, 6-hour drives plus all the hours at the concert, the after party, and so on, etc. So we could be talking 10 to 12 hours. She was away at that point. She called home and then have to drive 6 hours back, right? And then she's saying she doesn't know the timeline. They're claiming that Jay Z and Diddy went to an after party. Who knows? They could have been there till 4 a.m. and then came back and did what she's claiming, which is, possible. But she doesn't tell us any of that. Deacon Fatal says, the sad part about this is that it makes more victims in danger, in my opinion. Yep. Especially when you wait so long. And while I think that the premise of the Adult Survivors Act is good because, okay, maybe you were too scared to come forward previously before all the Me Too movement stuff, but the amount of evidence substantially decreases. That's why we have statute of limitations, because we don't want people just coming up 60 years later and saying that these things happened to them. So It does put people in danger. It does. Christopher says, not JG. Yeah. I'm just saying somebody that might look like Jay Z. Cyrilla Ben, I don't think I'm going to say that right, but her rants would result in more confidence. Her rants would result in more confidence if she did not yell, though. You talk about me? I don't care. Zoe B says, wouldn't gas station owner clerk not call PD to report a runaway at that hour of night to cover themselves from any legal issues for having a juvenile there for hours waiting for a ride? I don't see that being a law. I never heard of that. They're not mandatory reporters. For all we know, the gas station clerk was another teenager themselves. So no, I wouldn't hold that against the gas station at all. No, Nicole Zenora says, but how did Jay-Z's team know who she was if his lawyers demanded the courts to disclose her name? Did the courts respond to that yet? No. So Busby did a lawyer with his own client in his own office with NBC. And so NBC knows who the plaintiff is. Then NBC called Jay-Z's lawyer and said, this is what the plaintiff is saying. What do you think about it? And then they made a comment. And then NBC published this article, and Jay-Z just attached the article to their letter saying that the plaintiff's a liar. So no, Jay-Z technically still doesn't know who the victim is. That girl says, our YouTuber is a lawyer. I am a lawyer. I am. Deacon Fatal says, have to head because I'm working on music thingies unrelated to this case. Thank goodness. Take care all. Thank you for stopping in, Deacon Fatal. That girl says, wonder what Busby thinks she was a strong. I don't know. I don't know if he thought she was a strong witness or if he just needed to file these claims and make these allegations. I don't know. Zoe B says, would make sense if she claimed she was staying at a friend's house for the weekend and that her friend's older sibling drove them to the city for a concert. That's at least relatable. Yes, that would have been better than anything, but then she would have had to name the friends, right? That girl says, our YouTuber is an actual lawyer. Awesome. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. All Things Nada Jean says, I believe some of the people accusing Diddy are lying also. I do believe that the letter that Jay-Z wrote on the 10th, I believe it was the 10th, where people are calling in saying that they have claims and are being encouraged that certain things happen that may not have happened. I believe that. I don't know, which would turn into the accusers also lying. Like they could have been at a Diddy party, they could have been drugged, but maybe they weren't SA'd. But in order to file the claim, they're claiming that they were SA'd. And that has come in with some of the responses from Diddy's lawyers of they had to claim the assault, they had to claim this, or else they wouldn't be able to sue under this theory. So I do think that they are adding a little bit of pizzazz. Some of them are adding a little bit of pizzazz on their story in order to get it into court. But I don't think they're just like outright lying. And like I said, even with this girl, she could just be confused in things. She could have watched the VMAs online. I don't know. I'm speculating at this point. Christmas Mullen says, no need to apologize for yelling. It's just passionate. Yeah, that's what I do. It's just spicy brie, okay? Kai Mystery says, after this interview, I would be nervous of Busby's representing me. He hasn't dotted his I's or crossed his T's. Love the emoji. No, he hasn't. Andrea Allen says, has anyone seen Tissa Tell's channel regarding this? I believe the VMAs was 2003. The Ratio Guys was there. I don't know. She put 2000. That will be up to her attorney to correct that. That I'm not making arguments for Busby, okay? Nicole Zenora says, oh, okay, I was confused about that. And no, I haven't watched that channel, but maybe I'll go check it out. Tracy, love that name, says she did not admit to everything she said happened in 2003. She was just off a few years. Pimp J is a pedo and and the like the diddler. Where has that come out at? Because I haven't seen it. I have not seen it come out that it was 2003. I understand that you're saying a different channel said it was 2003, but on what documents have come out and said it was 2003? Do we do more research and find out, oh, maybe this happened in 2003? And then Does that then change her age? Right? Because she is 37, 38 now. I know I saw one source that said 37, one that said 38, but give or take a year, right? So that would, if it was 2003, that would then change her to being 16, which again creates another inconsistency. So we're getting into dangerous waters with saying, oh, well, actually it was 2003 because that's when those particular people were at the VMAs. And then to then assume that those particular people went to a Diddy party. Those people will be able to be interviewed and they can say, I've never gone to a Diddy party. So no, she didn't talk to me there. So I think that's dangerous waters. I haven't seen any court documents saying that it was actually 2003 and she was off by a couple of years. But if you are going to now change it to 2003, we're now making her 16 versus being 13, which is another inconsistency. So I don't think that saves her. I don't think that saves her. Andrea Allen says, I meant to say the tattoo guy. And again, her dad is also still saying that never happened, right? So there's still inconsistencies, even if she is off by a couple of years, right? I meant to say the tattoo guy. That girl says, as a lawyer, does inconsistencies in a story make this one story invalid? No, it makes it very hard for you to prove it at trial. It makes it very, very hard for you to prove it at trial. And like I said, I'm not saying she's lying or these things didn't happen. What I'm saying is they're not going to be able to prove it in court. Tough Media Production says, not lying, alternative facts. That as well. He's still calling Busby a liar, liar, pants on fire, and he didn't vet the claims. And if y'all are referring to like my my thumbnail, it's a thumbnail, okay? It's a thumbnail. Andrea Allen says, Tissa Tell's channel. Andrea Allen says she did some research. That is good. She said she was 13, not 16. Who said that she was 13, not 16? The lawsuit says that she's 13. Andrea Allen says the girl suffers from autism. That is possible as well, but she would have to prove that. And again, that's going to make her a difficult client on the stand. I understand y'all trying to come to the defense. The question is whether she's going to be able to prove it in a case. Now we're bringing in autism. She's claiming that she had emotional distress and mental health issues and maybe even physical. She was physically assaulted, so maybe she has physical injuries. They're going to get her medical records, okay? And they're going to use all of that against her to make her claims unprovable. You can't prove it, you don't win. All Things Nata Jean says, this lady has mental issues and uses her mental issues for sympathy. This case needs to be dropped. That, to me, sounds accurate. I don't know. I haven't researched that. But with just her claiming that she has a head injury, the age, all of those things, that would not shock me if that was true, right? It wouldn't. Andrea Ellen says, I heard her dad suffers from memory loss, which is also possible. But you've implicated him. He can't corroborate what you're saying. So it's going to be her against Diddy, against Jay Z, against whoever the female person is, against that person that said he wasn't even at the VMAs, against the limo driver, against all of these people. It's just her. And the person she's claiming, the only person that could potentially support that this happened, has memory issues. You're not proving that case. You're just not, right? Kai Mystery says, boss, you've done an awesome job breaking this down and giving your commentary on this. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining and supporting. We got Zoe B saying, inconsistent stories diminish the credibility of the witness, which is already difficult for real victims to be believed, especially on cross-examination. Like, y'all do not understand. I'm not saying you don't understand, but if you haven't been in court, you do not understand how intense cross-examination is. The defense attorney, and we're talking about a defense attorney hired by Jay Z, billionaire, they're going to tear her apart. And like I said, just the length of time, whether you're saying it's in 2000 or 2003, 20 years, the story is getting torn apart. She's not going to be able to prove it in court. Not saying it didn't happen, but she's not going to be able to prove it in court. Especially when you start adding all of these other things on there. We're talking about mental health issues. We're talking about maybe even autism. We're talking about a brain injury. We're talking about 13, maybe 16. We're talking about drugs and alcohol. We're talking about 20 years ago. The 20 years ago alone is enough to attack the credibility. Like, if I was a witness, I'll put myself on blast. If I was a witness and I said, I saw this person doing that, you know what they're going to do? Ma'am, your vision is trash. If you take them glasses off, can you see? Can you see that person's face? No, I cannot. And you want to tell me you were 20 feet away and you were able to identify my client? I'm telling you that. Okay, well, let my client go stand 20 feet away. Tell me what you can see on his left cheek. They're going to attack you. They're going to embarrass you. They're going to pull out my vision records and say, ma'am, you are far from 20/20 vision. We don't believe you. I was thinking about that the other day. If I'm wearing my contacts and I get in an accident and I say I didn't see them coming, they're going to be like, duh, your license says you have corrected lenses. You can't see, ma'am. They're going to tear it apart. No matter what you try to justify, they're going to tear it apart. Thank you, Zoe B, for because I definitely did skip over that. Chris Mullen says, yes, folks, Bri is not defending Jay Z or saying this did not happen. Bri is just saying that you need to be able to prove it in court. And at the moment, it looks like she will not be able to do so. Agreed. And I'm not attacking the victim and I'm not attacking the story. I'm attacking the attorney. Because the attorney should have knew not to file this until he could have corroborated some of her statements. I'm attacking the attorney because he has a license. I'm not attacking the victim. Attacking the attorney because lawyering is bad, okay? That's what we talk about on this channel. We don't talk about whether people are liars, or I guess on my thumbnail it does say liar, but you know, got to get the clickable thumbnails. But we attack lawyers on this channel. It's legal commentary. That's what this channel is, legal commentary. Thank you, Christmas Mullen, for that. Andrea Allen says she should not have done that TV interview at all. Busby has not even vetted the story properly. And he has to admit to it. And it could result in him getting sanctions, him losing his license, right? It's on him. It's not on the client. She can say her story and she could believe her story, and her story might be true. The question is whether you can prove it. And if you can't prove it, by preponderance of the evidence, you might be paying Jay Z's attorney's fees. And his attorneys are working overtime, man. They filing these things quickly. Quickly they are filing them. So just imagine what his attorney's fees are at this point. That girl says they are going to rip the bark off her on cross. Yeah, she's not going to, and this case can't go forward without her getting on the stand. And then you get her dad on there. Even if the dad decides he wants to switch his story, they're going to tear him apart. Inconsistent statements. Impeachment. We don't want to talk to you anymore. You lied. Okay. Andrea Allen says, what about telephone records from the gas station? Can they go back that far? It must show that she called her dad. They are not going to. They are not going to have no telephone records from 2000 or 2003. Businesses are only required to keep records for 7 years. And I don't even know if that applies to telephone companies. Yeah, no, I would be very surprised. And don't quote me on it, but I would be very surprised if they have telephone records back from that far. I highly doubt that, Andrea. I really do. I don't think they'll have records from that far. Nicole Zinaora says, after watching YouTube for 2 weeks following this case, we all need to be patient when following these stories. Be mindful. Some of these content creators are confusing, acting like attorneys. That is true. That is true. And you hear me on mine. I was like, if Jay Z's attorneys are accurate, this case, in my opinion, is getting thrown out. If they're accurate. If they're wrong, right? We can't really control that. But based off of this, and NBC, we're going to have to vet their credibility that they actually interviewed this person at a Busby's office. I don't think NBC would come out and lie about that, honestly. They have certain standards that they have to follow when reporting. They're journalists, right? They have certain standards they have to follow. And that's what gets them these exclusive interviews as well. is that First Amendment right to the media, right? They're not allowed to tell anybody who the person is that they interviewed. So I highly doubt that someone of NBC's stature will come out with an interview saying that they interviewed this plaintiff in Busby's office if that was not true. So yes, we can all have opinions and we can feel bad for people. We have people that was on Sarah Boone's side. We have people that was against Sarah Boone. That's what this channel, that's why we only cover court documents, okay? We cover court documents. And we read that article from NBC because it was filed in the court, okay? So you can listen to creators, you can have sympathy. I have sympathy for the victim if these things did happen, but you have to be able to prove it in court. You have to. You just do. So thank you, Nicole. Destined to be member and moderator of the channel. Welcome in. Been a member from 30 months. Shout out to you. Thank you for all the support, Tanya D, also known as Destined to Be. Saying popping in late, but glad I can make a live. Love the consistent content. Thank you very much. It's tiring. It's tiring, Tanya. I'm trying, but I will be in trial this week. So I'm trying to make sure I get some content up this week before I get overstimulated in trial and then all the Christmas parties and everything else going on. But welcome in, Tanya D. Nice to have you in. We're almost done. Kristen Smolin says to Nicole Zenora, Bree is an attorney. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. That girl says the defense is going to rip the bark off her on cross. Yes, agree. Still agree. Tough Media Production says he's allowed one his John Doe to do an interview last week, and there was also inconsistencies. I didn't see that one. I'm gonna have to look that up. I did not see that one. He needs to stop with the media. He's getting mad at Jay Z saying he's using the media, but he has to defend himself in the media because you're using the media. You're trying to use what happened in Diddy's case to say, oh, he's trying to taint the jury pool. Diddy said that, not Jay Z. If you're fighting in the media, it makes sense that Jay Z or anyone else is going to fight in the media too, because you're dragging their name. He's going to drag your name. Like, don't do unto others that you want them to do to you, right? I don't know if that's the saying, but it's something along those lines, right? Zoe B says to Andrea Allen, business record retention typically is 7 to 10 years, not likely to get landline records even for a long distance call. Many phone providers have gone out of business / consolidate. That is also true. Good point, Zoe. Good point on that. I highly doubt they'll have those records, whether it's 2000 or 2003. I highly doubt they'll have them. Kai Mystery says Busby better have a hell of a smoking gun if even has a chance to win. Yeah, he has to. If Jay-Z's attorneys are accurate, he has to withdraw this. There's no way around it. Like I don't see a way around this. And why would you do an interview? He would have had a better chance of this going forward. Like, I definitely thought the court will allow, to withdraw the plaintiff being anonymous. I definitely thought that. But now we are at the point where we're looking at you needing to withdraw. Like, why didn't you cut the interview off? Like, once that stuff started coming out, I would have cut the interview off. Like, wait a minute. She didn't tell me that. Interview over. Why are you doing it? Because in court, we ask questions and we don't want our client to answer. We're going to object. We're going to object. We're going to confuse you. We're going to confuse the client. We're going to confuse the court. We're going to object on some grounds. But an interview willingly admitting to you getting things wrong? What's going on? Busby, you're supposed to be the media professional attorney. 1-800-BUSBY. Like, no, just like, what are you doing? Tough Media Production says, in the second filing, he was married and the date was off. Busby is a fraud. Who was married? I don't know exactly. Oh, for the John Doe. Yeah. And he's saying he has over 150 plus cases. There's no way. And he's signing his name to all the lawsuits. There's no way he's reviewing all of that. I'm sure there's other attorneys drafting the stuff up. But Busby's signing his name to it. He has to review all of it. And I just don't think he can do that with the volume of cases that he's filing. It's ridiculous. That girl says maybe she used a payphone that no longer exists. That is also a possibility. She just said that they let her use a phone. So I would assume it was a business phone versus a payphone, but that's also a possibility too. Christina first says to that girl, she claimed that she went to the gas station and the employees there offered her to use their landline to call someone, so no payphone as far as we know. Haha. Yeah, that's my understanding too, that it wouldn't be a payphone. That girl says Busby claimed he was not going to try this case in the media, but then he's in the media. What is going on with Busby? That's what I'm saying. He's like trying to shame Jay Z for talking in the media when he added Jay Z to the lawsuit. He's the one that went to the media and let everybody know that he added Jay Z to the lawsuit. Like, you're trying it in the media. And like I said, usually these cases do settle because celebrities don't want their names listed in these kind of cases. But I think Jay Z was smart in doing this. And Diddy is going to owe Jay Z. Diddy is going to owe Jay Z. If Jay Z can get this case dismissed, and then what I would predict will happen is a lot of these lawsuits that at least Busby filed are going to start going away. They're going to start withdrawing. They're going to go away. And Diddy can thank Jay Z for that. He's going to owe Jay Z if that happens. I'm telling you, he's going to owe him if that happens. Tough Media Production says, I think Busby is just scaring other celebrities to pay because his 120 cases aren't going nowhere. He is an extortionist. I think they will, especially what Jay Z is going to file and asking for him to be sanctioned. He's not even not licensed, but he's not even admitted to practice in the court. And so if he's not admitted to practice in the court in this case, he filed a bunch of cases in New York. He's not admitted there either. So that alone, ground for sanctions. He's not doing things properly. So I do think some of these cases are going to go away. There's already been cases in New York filed by Busby where he tried to make them anonymous and the court said, no, you need to name this plaintiff immediately. And he just didn't refile them. So I do think that a lot of it is going to go away. At least Busby cases. There's other attorneys filing cases for other people that are named. They're not anonymous. And I think that also supports why he's filing anonymous, because maybe the cases are not as true as he's saying they are. That girl's Andrea Allen says, thank you to Zoe B. Kai Mystery says, you can blame this on Busby's ego. Yeah, I'm blaming Busby all the way. Busby all the way. He's the blame of all of this. That girl says, do you think Diddy is going to do time anytime? Yes. Yes. Because the case that's against him is majority the Cassie case. And so they're going to have the evidence for that, right? They already talked about what text messages they have. Some of that has already come out. They have Cassie available to testify to what happened to her. There's going to be other people available to testify to what happened to her. Dawn Richards has already wrote in her own legal complaint that she knows facts associated with the abuse on Cassie. So yes, I do think that he is going to do time for the Cassie allegations. I don't know if they're going to add in other people to try to have him convicted on other grounds, because they could potentially file a superseding indictment to add other claims, because we do have all of these people coming out. I would anticipate that they would at least add Dawn Richards' claims, because she has evidence supporting Cassie's victimization by Diddy. So yes, I do think that he's going to do time. How much time is he going to do? I'm telling y'all, if they would have let that man out on bail, he would have been gone. And I haven't even covered the bail determination, but it was everything that we talked about on the channel. Like, this guy, there's no way that we can guarantee that this man is not going to run. Okay. That man will be gone. But yes, in short, I do think he's going to do time for those allegations. Zoe B says that girl technically he's already doing time as he sits in jail waiting for trial. Yeah. So he get a little bit of time served, right? Andrea Allen says, did you say that you are an attorney? You are very good. Thank you very much. I am an attorney. I don't practice civil law, but I guess I do kind of. I do family law. So I do deal with like DV and similar cases, not necessarily SA, but DV, which sometimes does include SA. So yeah. I like to think I follow the rules. I don't want to get in trouble. I want to get sanctioned. Okay. Christmas Mullins says, oh, I think Diddy is going to go to prison for the rest of his natural life, because he is facing up to life. I believe he's facing 20 years to life, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong. It might be 15, but I believe he's somewhere in that range. 15 to 20 years to life is what he's facing. I do think he's going to jail. I don't know exactly what the sentence will be. That girl says, oh, be true post-trial. Yeah. You could have did the interview post-trial. If you win, if you would have won, you didn't even get to, like, we haven't had one hearing. Jay-Z hasn't even been served. I don't even know if Diddy has been served in this case. I haven't seen any proof of service for Diddy either. Why are you doing interviews? Especially if you weren't the one that actually talked to your clients. Like if someone else in your firm talked to them, stop doing interviews. What's wrong with him? Anyways, let's go ahead. I don't know where's my other screen? Okay, there we go. That is all that I have for the live stream for today. This actually was longer than I planned on it to be. You guys have heard me mention throughout the live stream that I am going to be in trial myself next week, which means trial prep and also really busy days at the court trying to prosecute actually a DV case and then finalization of a divorce. So I do plan on streaming tomorrow and potentially when I don't even want to put that on the calendar. I'll probably just stream tomorrow because my trial starts Thursday. So it probably will not be smart for me to stream on Wednesday, just being that these streams can get pretty long. But if I have time and I'm done and I get everything done in office at a decent time, I may stream on Wednesday. So y'all can have me for Monday, and then I'll probably have shorts for every other day next week, or every other day I'll do a short next week. If y'all have cases that you want to cover, let me know. I know this one has been just everywhere, so we've been covering it consistently. But if there's any other cases that y'all are interested in, let me know. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I normally say a wonderful weekend, but we're streaming on Sunday. But I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Thank y'all for joining me live. Thank you for all the commentary, all the thoughts, and make sure y'all hit the like button if y'all haven't already. Let me see if we reached our goal. I said 50 likes. We hit 55 likes. So shout out to y'all. We have not done the like goal in a minute. For those of you that are new, we have a like goal animation and it's really loud in the beginning. So if you are sensitive to sound, this is your warning to turn your volume down because we're going to play the like goal in 3, 2, 1. All right. Shout out to the BriHive. Thank y'all all for joining me today. Thank you for everyone that hit the like button. I will see y'all all tomorrow on the live stream, and I hope everyone has a good week. Bye.